Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. And now, the champion, fighting out of Los Angeles, California. This man is a movie snob with a background in fighting and a lifelong addiction to all things superhero related. Presenting the reigning, defending, undisputed host of the show, the Iron Koob.
Alright, welcome to the show, everybody. This is episode number 117 of the Iron Koob Fights Movies. This episode is available on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, and hosted by SoundCloud. We now have a Facebook page for the podcast you can follow for updates, as well as my 1/6 scale figure reviews. This week we're going to do things a little different. Because we're not going to be around this weekend, we're going to skip a weekly review, but we are going to do a special episode, which is our top 10 movies of all time. And then we'll be back with a regular episode the following week. So here are my co-hosts, Emerson.
Hey, what's going on?
And Everett.
Hey, what's up?
And we're going to do the news and all that stuff first, I think. So this past week I watched that live-action version of Cinderella.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
With Lily James and Richard Madden and Cate Blanchett. I didn't like it. It was okay.
Really?
Yeah. Well, they didn't have any of the songs.
Really?
And yeah, the thing about like musicals is a lot of times with musicals the characters are kind of like outrageous and over the top and almost like caricatures. And like when they sing the song, that's more how they express themselves. And so they have characters like that, but they don't sing songs. So they're kind of just like one-dimensional, and like I don't know how do you just get rid of the songs? Like it's not like it's Mulan where they're fighting a war. It's like a princess story. So
yeah, they don't really have much else.
And the mice are like, you know, they have like advanced thinking, like they're high-fiving each other and stuff, but they don't sing their song. They don't talk. I think it was a big miss, actually.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it would be very interesting.
The acting was fine.
It sounds more awkward to watch than anything.
It wasn't bad. It just like compared to Beauty and the Beast, it was like not on the same level at all.
Right.
I also watched The Boys. Did any of you guys get to see that superhero show?
I
on Amazon?
haven't yet.
I've been recommended it a bunch. Yeah, I want to watch it as well.
So first of all, it's apparently based on a comic, which I didn't know. And then the other thing is that apparently the show differs from the comic a significant way. So for people who don't know, this is about like, it's a very interesting show. It gets better with each episode. So I will say like the first 2 episodes, I was kind of unsure if I was going to finish it. Like I was enjoying it, but not so much that I would recommend it. I'm just like, yeah, if you like superhero stuff, this is like another take on it. But it gets more and more interesting. For example, what they're saying is, imagine if superheroes were real, which is like every premise ever. But in this case, they're superhuman, and they're basically being monetized. So they become a brand. So they have like social media followers. They have lawyers because every time they save somebody, like somebody sues them for whiplash or something, you know. And then with being a brand, there's all sorts of things like they can say or can't say, you know.
Right.
And so then that's like the base level. And at first I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then there's like human characters that are like not enjoying the existence of these superheroes. And so that's why it was a little shaky, because you don't know where it's going. And then after like episode 2, it really, they have like the Justice League. They're called the Seven, and one of the characters is like the newcomer to the Seven. And so you get to see how she went from like an innocent girl to being monetized, and she has to act a certain way. for example, she has a following with, I want to say like the Midwest, the conservative people. So like churchgoers and whatnot. So there's like that. It has interesting stuff. At one point, like the Me Too movement gets involved. There's like drug use, steroids. Like I liked it actually. They explored some cool concepts. One of them is like a Superman ripoff. Another one's a Wonder Woman ripoff. Another one's like the Flash. Another guy's Invisible. Another guy's Aquaman. The newcomer is more like who's that female superhero with the giant boobs and the white outfit?
Captain
Power Girl.
Oh,
Power Girl.
Yeah, Power Girl.
She's kind of like that. And then there's like who's the stretchy guy from DC? Rubberman.
Mr.
Plastic Man?
Elastic or something?
Plastic Man. Yeah.
Plastic Man.
Plastic Man. There's a guy like that. Haley Joel Osment plays a guy that can read minds. So Carl Urban is in it. He's a human. I don't really recognize anyone else.
Is he good in it?
Yeah, he's good in it. He's probably the most famous person. The one who plays Wonder Woman, the Wonder Woman copy, is Dominique McElliott, who was the female love interest in Hell on Wheels for a few seasons.
Okay.
So I knew her from that, and then she was also in House of Cards. She was Joel Kinnaman's wife. If you watch that.
Oh, okay, yes. I know her.
Did anyone watch the newest season of House of Cards without Kevin Spacey?
No, I heard it was garbage.
It came and went. I completely missed it. But anyway, so yeah, I would recommend it. It ends on one hell of a cliffhanger, and for the last like 3 episodes, I was definitely interested. I was hooked in. All right, so yeah, that's what I watched. Did you guys watch anything?
Not really.
No, not really.
All right.
Oh,
Kind of a slow week.
I watched Mission Impossible 5. I finally watched that again. It's okay. It's not as good as I remember it being.
I said, yeah. It has that fight scene in the toilets, and other than that,
and that's really good. And then like I like the beginning of the Paris scene, but it goes on for so long that like I kind of stopped caring. And then after
Paris
that,
scene, remind me what it was.
It's like a combination of like foot chase, car chase, gunfight, like motorcycle. Like it's this massive like 20-minute segment where he's like running around and driving around and on a motorcycle, and like there's like a lot of cool set pieces in there and like interesting moments, but it just goes on so long that it's kind of meaningless. And then after that, I kind of just wanted to get to the end where the bombs are going to detonate. And then, like, it's kind of interesting, like, them trying to find and defuse the bomb. But I get bored of...
Not that interesting.
Like, it's more interesting... It is for me because, like, his love interest, his original love interest is there. And, like, there's some cool scenes of, like, the realization that, like, the medical camp that's there was planned to be there. And then they're, like, trying to find the bomb. But what I'm saying, it's more interesting than... Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill fighting goes on for so long in the final act that it just becomes kind of boring. Like, it's just like, oh, he gets hit again, and he gets hit again, and is he gonna reach the detonator? And it's like, yes, obviously. I don't need like 30 seconds of him trying.
What was this one called again?
Fallout.
Fallout?
Yeah, Fallout.
I'd say the first 45 to 50 minutes are really good, and then it just becomes tiresome. Because they have that really cool scene where they fake like the terrorists' plan had succeeded, and they have like the fake news reel in the background. It's like a Captain America scene, but it goes on for longer, and like there's more theater. At the end, it's like the ending of Captain America 1, but yeah.
Remember the old ones were also really good, like the old Mission Impossible movies. Like I vaguely remember watching 2 a long time ago.
I tried to rewatch them. They weren't as good as like I think people remember.
Really?
They're not bad, but they're okay.
Yeah, and maybe I need to rewatch them.
They were definitely more like spy movies, and also some of the CGI doesn't hold up. Like the ending of the first one, It looks horrific. It's so bad. All right, so some news. Apparently, Namor might be coming to Marvel.
Sweet.
This is comicbookmovie.com, who says, according to a site that's been reliable in the past for casting intel, they don't name it though, Marvel Studios is currently looking to cast a character who sounds an awful lot like Namor the Submariner. Codenamed David, they're described as a ruler of an ancient, distant kingdom. It's said that Marvel Studios is preferably looking for an actor who is of Asian descent, and fans have been saying for years that they would like someone of that ethnicity to bring the ruler of Atlantis to the big screen. So the rumor has also been, and this isn't part of the article, that it's going to be in Black Panther 2, Namor, Atlantis vs. Wakanda, which we talked about before, right?
Yeah, we have a little bit.
Which I'm not super excited about because Ryan Coogler brought the whole African thing. Like, he was able to do that with Black Panther. But if you do Atlantis versus Wakanda, you're basically doing an introduction to Atlantis at that point, because that's the focus. And is Ryan Coogler the right guy to do that?
Well, it's a question of, is he going to give them a fair showing? Yeah, so
I don't know. But the most interesting thing is that they're going to make him Asian.
I'm okay with that too. I don't really care.
I'm okay with that, but they're already doing Shang-Chi. So is this becoming like they're now pandering to Chinese audiences?
Well, I'd like to point out, at the beginning it was all white people. Then we got a large period of time where there were a lot of African American actors. Now it looks like they're going, like, I guess the next phase will be like phase 5, the Hispanic phase. And then, like, I don't know, something after that.
Tap into that Middle Eastern market.
No thoughts. Yeah.
I'm a little worried about putting Atlantis on the screen at the same time as Wakanda, though, because in the comics, doesn't Atlantis like flood Wakanda and destroy the city?
Are you worried about the people of Wakanda?
Well, no, I'm worried like that they're gonna like completely throw that out the window. They're either gonna throw the whole like flooding war sequence out, which I think is actually really cool. That adds a lot of conflict. Or they don't do it and they're completely wasting the opportunity. Like, there's a lot of things that could go wrong.
They're gonna either throw it out or not do it. Those are the two options.
No, I mean, okay. I think I fucked my words up.
I'm back. What did Everett say?
What I meant to say was either they do it and they throw all future opportunities with Wakanda out the window because then the city's destroyed, they have to rebuild. Okay. Or they don't do it and they waste an amazing opportunity from the comics.
You're talking about flooding Wakanda?
Yeah.
I forget what comic
it's landlocked.
From. Yeah, so?
But they did it in the comics somehow.
Yeah, but like, how do you flood a landlocked country?
You just
Namor can control the oceans. Like, he like flooded the country.
Like, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm sure it's great in the comics. It sounds stupid to me. Like, oh, he floods the city. It's like, eh. Like, I don't know, floods. Like, I feel like Wakanda would be fine after a flood. Like, they just like have floating like cities or something. I don't know. Personally.
Maybe you're right. Whatever.
Well,
maybe it's just me being nitpicky.
No, I mean, I think it's certainly on the table. They've pretty much done like all the major comic book stuff. Like what comic book moment that is like pure classic have they not done?
Well, in terms of Black Panther, they haven't really explored the whole him and Storm relationship that's in the comics, which I want to see.
Well, yeah, for obvious reasons. But like, what could they have done that they have not done?
Not a lot. You're right. They've pretty much used all the real stuff.
It'd be crazy if that's how it ends, with Atlantis flooding Wakanda.
I don't like the flood idea. It's fine if they do a disaster, but I still think the flood idea is weird. Like,
well, water's all he's got.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense. Like, how do you flood? I don't know.
Well, couldn't you just flood all the way to Wakanda?
But so then it's like flooding the world. Now, if he's like melting the ice caps to punish them, okay, that's fine. Or if they're going to flood the whole planet, okay, go for it. But like, just flooding Wakanda like that. I don't see that.
Well,
flying.
I always pictured it as just like a mass flooding.
Like a tsunami, you mean, where it's like just
Yeah,
sweeps
like
them.
Yeah, but like a lot, like 10 times a tsunami.
it could work.
I guess
right?
Ethiopia's dead.
Yeah,
Only
I
think
mean, he
about
would
it,
be trying to kill people, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Namor
Yeah, but it's
doesn't
just
like
like-
surface dwellers in the comics, so that could be a
I'm
good
okay with
introduction
it.
to him.
Yeah, I'm okay with it if he's flooding like everywhere. But if it's played off as like, oh, he just hit Wakanda and only Wakanda's affected, then that's stupid. But if he wrecks Africa and floods like a massive part of it, then I'm okay with it. I'm just saying that it's cheesy if he like, and then I teleported the ocean into Wakanda. It's like, okay, that's interesting, but not really. But then again, like, I don't know.
I mean,
Or-
teleportation could happen. We don't know what kind of tech they have.
That's true, and I that's something I'd like to see. I'd like to see like Wakanda versus Atlantis, like tech wise, not just
The
like
two most
Namor versus
highly powered
Black Panther.
civilizations.
That
on
doesn't
Earth.
interest me. Actually, the whole concept really doesn't interest me because their power sets are not like complementary in any way that would be like fun to watch. So Black Panther can run and jump and do that EMP thing, and Namor is like really strong and uses water.
Not to mention,
They're gonna
It's-
swim up through that lake and just like start killing people.
well,
Like,
also,
How different is he from Hydro Man in terms of like abilities?
I mean, he's definitely
Also-
more killable than Hydro Man because he's like
Wait,
not human, but
another problem is like, you know how Atlantis is depicted in the only other time we've seen it lately, Aquaman, right? It's very similar to Black Panther, like their tech levels or like their tech abilities. Like, I don't know how they could present a very technologically advanced Atlantis without making it look like they're the same, basically.
I would almost like go the other way and make them almost like
No tech
Yeah.
or low tech.
yeah.
well,
So
And,
then,
like,
like,
that's
what, do
where,
they rely on like magic or something? Or?
yeah, then you're
Like, they
going
have
into
to
like
come
the
to the
whole
surface
mutant
or
territory.
something. I don't know. I don't. To be honest, as long as it's not two armies running at each other again, I think I'll be okay.
Well, think about it. Like that, the plot really doesn't necessarily have any standing stakes because that's been our problem since Endgame and Infinity War is that none of the movies have any real long lasting stakes. You're not going to
Talking
kill
about
off
one
Black
movie.
Panther and you're not going to kill off Namor. So, in like a massive war movie, one side versus the other, what really is there to lose?
To be
They
fair,
kill Shuri.
if they're
I guess.
using Namor purely as a villain, the precedent for killing him off is really high.
That would
Like, it's
that would be
totally
a
there.
waste if they
Yeah.
kill him off at the
I
end.
don't think they will, but I don't know. I think
Yeah.
you're probably looking more at like Atlantis being destroyed or Wakanda being destroyed.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, like the way I envision it, Namor versus T'Challa, like those two nations. The only other level of war that I really want to see that they haven't done yet is the Inhumans versus the mutants, and they can't do that yet because X-Men aren't introduced yet. So, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of possibility, but there's also a lot of gray area where it can go wrong.
I don't want to see the Inhumans, except for Black Bolt. I like Black Bolt, but even though that show is bad, just the concept of what they are, I think it's really stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean?
They're like slave traders up on the moon.
That is true. They have like a subspecies that they use for mining.
That sounds kind of stupid.
Yeah, the mortals, the people that aren't like mutated. So basically, you get your chance to have puberty, and if you don't mutate, then you go to like the mines, and then
Well,
yeah, and then
I
the
don't-
humans. The premise of the show was the humans like uprising, and you're supposed to feel bad for the Inhumans, but like they're bad people. The humans are the victims.
I thought it was a little different than that. I thought they were they were called the alpha primitives, right? I thought they were bred for manual labor. Like they weren't like
In the
chosen.
show, it was like you either morphed or you got sent to the pits.
Oh, because I remember in the comics and the games, it was the Alpha Primitives were bred for manual labor.
And his brother
They-
Maximus was a non-inhuman, non-mutant person, and like he banished he got the royal family like sent away, and then it was about them trying to get their throne back. But I'm like, I don't think I want you guys to have your throne back. You've been oppressing these people for as long as you've existed. You're terrible. And the stupid lady with her hair, Medusa, that's dumb. And Crystal, I don't even know what her powers are, but also like not interesting. And then what was it, Lockjaw? What's his name?
The dog,
The
Lockjaw.
dog. Is that his name?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean he's okay, I guess. And then there was the Asian guy. His name was like Karlak or Kronak or something. And
Karnak?
he could he could see the future or multiple possibilities and like pick the right one. And then there was some green guy that died right at the beginning.
This sounds great.
And there was some black guy with hooves.
Oh, I know that guy, but
Yeah, I don't need that shit.
yeah, whatever.
Okay. Shang-Chi, Awkwafina. So, a news report before Comic-Con, Marvel was looking to cast a female character who was described as a loyal soldier to the Mandarin. It's theorized that the villain will be Shang-Chi's father in the movie instead of Fu Manchu. And if that's the case, there's a very good chance that Awkwafina will play Falu Sui. I don't know. In the comics, she is Shang-Chi's sister and possesses the powers of hypnosis. There are also reports doing the rounds that Clive Reston is set to make an appearance in The Legends of the Ten Rings, a spy who worked for MI6. He was a close ally of Shang-Chi's, and if he's going to show up, chances are Liko Wu, a fellow agent and love interest to the hero, will appear. As a result, Awkwafina may also be playing her, but that casting description suggests otherwise. The thing is, like, Awkwafina is Asian, but she's a comedian, isn't she? Or like
Something like that.
So
I don't
I've
even
al-
know what she does.
so
Yeah, I
if
think
she's
she's
like
a musician.
if she's meant to be a villain, she is going to need to know some kung fu, doesn't she?
I guess.
So that's why I think that it's weird.
They
I
can
don't
do
know,
whatever
the
they
only
want,
other-
I guess.
The only thing I've ever really seen her in is Crazy Rich Asians, and she didn't really blow me away in that performance either.
I saw her in that Ocean's 8 movie, The Woman.
Uh huh.
She was in that. Her whole character was basically like, I'm Asian, and I'm like wacky. No, she was like Asian but pretending to be black, and then like she had some bizarre skill set, like I forget what. She might have been like an
Interesting.
inventor or something. Anyway, so Fox has officially canceled a whole bunch of movies.
Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah.
So
that's
I've got the
guy.
list here. Okay, here are the original movies that were planned to be directed by certain directors. So we don't know what the movies were, but we know that they're gone. So Fede Alvarez, he did Evil Dead 2013, Don't Breathe, I don't know him.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Miller, who did Deadpool. 2 movies from David Ayer, he did Fury and End of Watch, but also Suicide Squad and Bright. Andy Serkis, he did Netflix's Jungle Book, and he's going to do Venom 2. 5 movies by Paul Feig. He did Spy and Bridesmaids. Marielle Heller, she did A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Wasn't that the Mr. Rogers thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Carrie Fukunaga, she did True Detective, Maniac. A heist thriller from Matt Reeves, who did Planet of the Apes, and he's going to do the Batman. A movie about McDonald's Monopoly franchise from Ben Affleck, and I think it was also meant to star Matt Damon.
Interesting.
Okay, yeah, this was about, like, it was a scam. I remember hearing about this. It was a scam from a bunch of people that they were trying to scam the Monopoly game that McDonald's has. You guys know about that?
No.
You know
Sort
how
of, not
like
really.
McDonald's has a Monopoly thing. You buy like French fries, and on the
Yeah.
box it has.
And you're
like,
supposed to get some like item.
Yeah, so they were trying to like scam it, and it's supposed to be a movie about that, but that movie's canceled. He also has another
Okay.
movie, not with Fox, that I heard about. It's about, I forget, like a king, and then the king has like an advisor. It's one of the like English kings or something, maybe a French king, I don't remember. And so the advisor has a squire, and they have like some sort of disagreement, and so they have to duel. And Ben Affleck plays the advisor, and Matt Damon is the squire apparently. And so the
Okay.
king's like, you have to settle your dispute with him before you can do something. So I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that one. Two movies from Sean Levy: Stranger Things and Night at the Museum. Rick Famuyiwa, he did Dope. He also he did Dope. Drew Goddard, he did Bad Times at the El Royale. A George Clooney movie, Ides of March. And two by Morton Tildum, The Imitation Game, and also Passengers. Imitation Game was good. All right, so here are the movies that are dead. Chronicle 2, gone.
Oh,
Ah,
that
damn it.
sucks.
Chronicle 1 was good.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I
I
don't
like
think they had
Chronicle.
enough for a sequel. Fear Street 2 and 3. The first one has not been released.
Okay. That's
Flash
not good.
Gordon, which will
Oh,
upset
okay.
a lot of baby boomers. Hitman 2, perfectly fine with that. I'm sure that was never going to get
Yeah.
made. Assassin's Creed 2, I'm sure that was never going to
Good.
get made.
Yeah,
Good.
good.
Magic the Gathering,
Good.
Good.
McLean,
I don't know what that is.
that's Die Hard.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah. Mega Man.
Good. I don't want to see
McLean
that.
sounds like it's going to be like a prequel of him in Vietnam or some shit. So yeah, Mega
Yeah,
Man.
that sounds stupid.
The Argonauts. I don't know what that is.
Oh, Jason and the Argonauts?
Yeah,
know.
it's a Greek epic. It's that's better not being made.
The End of Eternity. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
The
No
Heat
idea.
2.
Okay, that's good.
The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Probably a reboot. The Pink Panther. Probably
No.
a reboot.
Yeah, I'll... yeah, God.
The Sims.
Yeah, I'm glad that's
Yeah.
gone.
Good.
A Sandlot prequel.
No.
A Zorro reboot from Alfonso Cuarón. Oh, it's
Nah.
from his son.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
definitely no.
Okay.
And then, so they scrapped all films in development except Avatar, Planet of the Apes, and then it says and Fox Searchlight.
Wouldn't that be Venom 2? Or no, that's Sony. Never mind.
What does that mean, Fox Searchlight?
I don't know. You know that? Oh, it's a specific type of studio. Searchlight is different than normal Fox.
Yeah. So what movies are there?
I don't know, but whatever they have. But okay, wait a minute. Dude, that's
Ooh, these are some pretty
that's
good
crazy.
ones, actually.
It was probably smart, but they basically killed anything that they weren't fairly confident would make a good amount of money.
Fox
Yeah.
Searchlight movies
Yeah,
have
what do they have?
actually a lot of good ones. They got Shape of Water, they've got Tolkien, they've got 12 Years a Slave, Slumdog Millionaire, Birdman, The Favorite, Battle of the Sexes, Black Swan, that kind of stuff. Whole bunch of them.
Is Deadpool one of those?
I'm not
'Cause
seeing it on here.
Deadpool's still on the table as far as I know.
See, I'm seeing a bunch of old ones like Bend It Like Beckham and Juno and 127 Hours and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move on to our top 10. So,
This is gonna be interesting.
do you guys have your honorable mentions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a bunch of them.
Okay, Ever, why don't you do your honorable mentions?
All right, so I have a few. So my honorable mentions that didn't make my list that I still like are Avengers, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, Rogue One, Juno, Ghostbusters, and Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
Respectable.
None of the Marvel movies made your top 10, huh?
No, I don't think so, actually.
All right, Emerson, your honorable mentions.
So I only have three, and those are Captain America: Civil War, The Martian, and Ocean's 11. And mainly just because those are movies that I really think are very quality films. For some reason, Captain America: Civil War, something just like pushes it down because it's Marvel. And I always say that I'm not a snob who just hates on it because it's Marvel, but something about it where I'm like, I just like I don't bring it up for some reason. But yeah.
All right. So I have a lot of honorable mentions. These are in no particular order. I have a crazy, I have a wide variety of movies in my top 10.
All right.
So my first honorable mention is Road to Perdition. Have you guys seen that?
No.
No.
That might be one we watch at some point. Logan,
Logan. Oh, I forgot about Logan.
Interstellar, Blood
Okay.
Diamond, The
Nice.
Departed,
The
Nice.
Departed is
Cinderella
very good.
Man, Civil War, Dark Knight, Batman Begins, Forrest Gump, Good Will Hunting, Memento. Oh Jesus. Hold on. Memento, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, The Green Mile. Have you guys seen that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Casino Royale, the one with
Ooh,
Daniel
nice.
Craig, and Gran Torino.
Oh, nice. Good list, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Well, that's my.
And that's
yeah.
I know your honorable mentions. That's why I'm saying your list is probably like crazy then.
Well, my list is. I have a romantic comedy in there.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let me just clean up this list here. We'll each say our number 10s.
Okay.
So everyone, why
All
don't
right.
you go first?
All right, my number 10 is Dune. And I absolutely love that film.
Everyone talks about this. I've never
Yeah,
seen
well,
it.
okay. I love Dune. And
I have strong
hadn't-
opinions on this.
I know you have strong opinions on it, but okay, I try. What I tried to do with my list for context is I tried to split up as many genres as I could. I didn't want to do like all sci-fi because that's probably what I was going to do if I didn't stop myself. But Dune's definitely one of the ones that made it on the list because that was like the first movie I ever watched that gave me like a real sci-fi inspiration, like for a lot of things. It's old and it like a lot of the effects don't hold up very well, but I think it's still very well made and still really good.
Okay. All right. Emerson, what do you think about Dune?
It's a fine idea. I think it's incredibly overhyped. I think that it's not as good as a lot of people make it out to be. I think the same thing about the books, to be fair. I think that like there's a large community out there who hasn't actually read them or seen the movie that just like falls in line with like people who rave about it and is like it's crazy and it's good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I feel like some people are drinking the Kool-Aid in that regards. And I get a little tired of Emperor Leto and the giant worms, but whatever.
Wait, are you talking about was there a remake with Jared Leto?
No,
No,
his
he's
name
talking
is
about
Leto.
Oh, okay.
Leto
Like, yeah, the
Leto.
character- Yeah.
I
and
mean,
the
I've heard
character's
it's,
name
Spice
is
Worms.
it's like inspired so many things.
Yeah.
It has. The universe of Dune has inspired things because people look at it and they say like that'd be a good idea. I think
Well, that's-
Dune on its own though is not like this paradigm that people hold it up to be.
Well,
I think it's
one of
good.
the- you are right in some respects that it is extreme. Like people can hear a lot about Dune and go watch the movie and hate it because it's not what they were expecting at all. One of the main reasons though I like it is because, first of all, and I know like there are those people out there that love lore heavy movies, but more specifically for me, I love the art style of that movie. Like if you've ever looked at how H.R. Geiger was going to do the original art and effects and stuff for the movie, and then all that got scrapped. So if you look up all of his original designs, they're insane looking. They're so cool. I used to have like a lithograph of one of his old original designs of like a ship that was supposed to be in Dune. That was like one of my most treasured possessions. They're completely like alien looking sci-fi, and they're just amazing.
All right. Emerson, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I think it's a really like fun but also intense and well-made movie to watch. It's a movie that at almost any time I would be willing to watch. It's a movie that spawned a really interesting idea, and even though the sequels don't hold up as well as this movie does, the idea is there for a better future story to be told in the same vein as this one. Really phenomenal, and just so many memorable scenes, memorable moments, amazing acting, and especially considering how much of it is just CGI. Doing that is really amazing for me.
All right, yeah, great.
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
I thought about adding that to my list, but because the trilogy gets a little shaky, I decided to leave it off.
Okay.
All right, sorry, my dog has to go out and Jade's not doing it. My number 10, Days of Future Past.
Okay.
The thing is, I don't have a lot of Marvel. Actually, I don't think I have any Marvel on my top 10. I don't have any Disney, and I don't even really have any comic book movies. But something about Days of Future Past, and it's really, I think, Magneto. Something about that, it's just a badass movie. Like, aside from all the continuity errors that come from the other films, you know, like the ones before and after it, this one on its own, with the whole, like, time travel thing, and just, like, when Magneto is like, so much for being a survivor, like, I don't know, man. It works. Like, this is one of my... I love that movie.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, like, of all the superhero movies, I rated that higher than anything. And, you know, The Dark Knight... it's overrated. I'm not saying it isn't fantastic, but the way people talk about it, like, there's something about the ending that isn't quite right in The Dark Knight.
Do you think it's because he died? I don't know enough to know if like there was something else planned, or if
I think there was something else planned. There was, and then so he kind of screwed that up. But the way Batman,
oh yeah, no
Screwed it up by dying.
yeah, no, but like the way Christopher Nolan said, like they had a plan, and then they had to basically do a new movie. But the way that Batman, like, it ends with him running away, and Two-Face gets a little shortchanged. Like, okay, if you take away Heath Ledger's performance, you have a pretty decent movie, but it wouldn't hold a candle to a lot of other superhero movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to some of the best of the best, like Days of Future Past, or even Civil War. Like I would say, like, it was a cool movie, but then you put in Heath Ledger's performance, and that elevates it for sure. Like, I think it would be on a lot of people's top 10. And who knows, because I haven't watched it in a while, so maybe like I would add it back. But I really love the movie, but Days of Future Past is better, I think. So
I can respect that.
all right, number 9, Ev.
My number 9 is The Matrix Reloaded.
The fuck?
Yeah. Hear me out. There are a lot of trilogies out there that I like to refer to as Godfather trilogies, whereas the first one is good, the second one is amazing, and then the third one is awful. I think The Matrix is definitely one of the main like front runners of that example, because the first one was good, but I loved the second one, and the third one is like I think universally hated. But I really enjoy The Matrix Reloaded, because when I first watched it, it just it was like unbelievable to me. Like, that was one of the first times I'd ever seen like a car chase like that, or effects like that, or like that kind of story on screen. At least for me, I'm sure there are other movies out there that could do it just as well.
Because you know, like most of the Matrix sequels, I guess both of them are considered like considerably worse than the original.
I like the original, but something about the second one I think just does it better for me. I don't know how to explain.
Have you heard that, Emerson?
Oh yeah, in fact, I had the opportunity in a couple months ago to watch all three movies with a group of people who only me and one other person had seen any of them. So we watched the first one, they all loved it. We watched the second one, and they were like, what's this? And we watched the third one, and they're like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is not an insult towards Everett. Like, I understand why he likes the second one. To be fair, I had a memory of liking all three of them, but when I went back and watched them, I was like, oh, this, I don't remember. Oh, wow, this, like, my memory, like, warped it or something. I don't know.
Okay, I love the first one. And then the second one, because, I guess I would have been like 12. What year did it come out? Do you know, Everett?
Not off the top of my head. I'll look it up. Matrix.
2003. So I was 13.
Yeah.
I went in to see that, and I'm like, okay. And then they were making video games, so we were like, okay, that's cool. Like, it's not as good. I don't think it's as good, but okay, it's still the same Matrix thing. They had the twins, which nobody asked for, but then they had that highway scene, and then they had that Neo fighting all the Agent Smiths, which was kind of weird. But the third one, me and my best friend Mozzie, we went to go see the third one. I don't know how old we were, but we were like, what year did that one come out? Matrix
the third
Revolution.
one? I think it was like a year after, right?
Was it just a year?
I might be wrong. Let's find out.
2003? What the?
Oh, really?
6 months following, yeah. So yeah, we went into the theater and we both came out and we were like, that was dog shit. It was terrible. And then one time I was working at the library, and this guy was checking it out, and he was trying to like talk it up to this woman, and they were maybe 10 years older than me. And he's like, "You seen this, bro?" And I was like, yeah, not so good. And he was like, "What? What do you mean?" And I was like, maybe I was a little young for it." And he's like, "Yeah, that's probably it." I'm like, "No, that wasn't it, man. That movie sucks."
I will admit, though, I'll give credit where credit's due. Bringing up sort of what Emerson was saying about when I said about Dune, The Matrix is also severely overrated. There's a lot of shit that people have put out about The Matrix that does not need to exist. Like, there are books about the philosophy of the one and all that kind of stuff. And before you make any jokes,
Jesus.
Yes, I know. But people, like, wrote books about The Matrix and, like, the philosophy of The Matrix and stuff.
What does that have to do with the movie itself?
I'm saying it's overrated, and I'm saying I know it's overrated, but I still love it.
The movie's overrated?
Yeah, like the whole trilogy, I think, is overrated.
What they wrote the books on is
you put one of them in your top 10.
Yeah.
Did you not just hear what I said? I said I'm giving credit where credit's due. I admit that they're overrated, but I still love it nonetheless.
I think it's important to note that the people who wrote books on it didn't write books on it because they thought it was so great. It's that the idea of a matrix was interesting from a computational and philosophy standpoint, because like all the philosophy people are always arguing over what is consciousness, and so like it allowed them to be like, okay, here's a good example that an average person can understand. It was not like they were like sucking the movie's dick.
No, I know. I'm just saying there's a lot of Matrix stuff out there, and there's a lot of things that have spawned from it, which is what makes it overrated.
That isn't a criticism of the movie itself.
Okay, you know what? Never mind. I enjoyed the movie. I'll leave it at that.
Anytime something happens to Everett, he always says the same thing. He goes, "You know what? Never mind."
Because I can't come up with an argument. If I try to put forward an argument, you guys just laugh at me.
It's okay. That's what brings in the viewers. All right, Emerson, what's your number 9?
Oh God. Okay. My number 9 is Godzilla 2014. Beautiful movie.
Okay.
Really love it. The second one, King of Monsters, shouldn't exist. Buried in the goddamn ground. Kill all the actors. But I really love Godzilla 2014, especially the thing for me, and you're going to see this going forward through my list. the reason I respect these movies and love them so much is when you take something and sort of alter the perception of it, or make something that you wouldn't expect when you look at it. You hear Godzilla, and the average person does think something like the 1998 version we watched, or the 1999 version, or they think like King of Monsters. They think like, oh, but this is an exercise in like artistry. Yeah. And it's just so beautiful, and I love it so much, almost every part of it, that I had to put it on the list, and number 9 for me is where I felt it would be comfortable.
You know what? I could have put this as an honorable mention. It wouldn't make my top 10, but I agree with pretty much everything you said. I just didn't feel strong enough about it.
Yeah, it's because you don't have enough hate for the King of Monsters one.
Well, actually, as a theme in my rankings, any movie that had like a sequel that like kind of like was not great, that knocks it down a little bit for me, because I look at it as an entire body of work a little bit, and so like Godzilla is fantastic. I could put it in an honorable mention, yeah. Anyway, my number 9, The Matrix. And I'll just say, because we talked about it a bit.
But wait a minute. You just said you look at these things as a whole, and you said the third was awful and you didn't like the second one.
Yeah, that's how good this one is.
Okay.
This one, because I'll explain to you what had happened to me when I watched this movie. I was probably 10 years old, and my sister used to go to Blockbuster and bring home a movie every weekend. And I had no idea, what this movie was or anything. And my family didn't know. And I think my sister might have heard about it. And so she brought it home. We put it in. And 10-year-old me had my mind blown. And I was like, what the hell? With this spawned, I started building Legos with the Matrix. And like, I would role play. And like, one of them was the traitor. And the idea that like, you would be in the chair and whatever happened to you in the Matrix would affect you in the chair, like that like blew my mind as well. And that's something that was really missing from the other ones, was like the cool characters, but that sense of like, we can die here. They were kind of on the run a little bit. I don't know. And we also made, my friends and I, we made a Matrix movie. And
you told us about this.
My nickname was Trigger, which of course now would probably get me like arrested. and my friend Mozzie, his code name was Ghetto. And I don't remember the rest, but my little sister was the person behind the person in the chair, and she quit the movie like halfway through. So and she quit it mid-scene, because we wouldn't let her be one of the agents because we needed her to be in the chair. So she quit the movie like mid-sentence, and then it switches to my older sister to complete the line. And we were wearing that year, my mom wanted to buy me a raincoat, and I specifically demanded a black trench coat, which of course now is like a school shooter vibe. But
yeah, it's like, they'll do it.
But she got me one. She had no idea why I needed it, but I like needed it. And it was because it was a raincoat. It was rubbery and like shiny. So like we would put on glasses, and we had squirt guns, and we thought it was a movie. And I remember one scene. It was my last scene. My friend Taryn was playing Agent Smith because he was the white kid, so he could play it. So he was the agent, and we gave him. For some reason, my mom had like men's blazers in her closet. And so we gave him the blazer, and we were going to do a scene where the finale where I fight the agent and I push him into the pool, and then I like get on the phone to call myself out of the Matrix. But we could only do one take because like he didn't have any dry clothes, So so like we choreographed the scene where he takes off my mom's blazer for some reason so that it doesn't get wet. And then I pushed him into the pool, and then we didn't think it through, because once he's in the pool, he doesn't go anywhere. he just resurfaces, and then he just sits in the pool. So that didn't occur to any of us until like we were actually shooting it. So I put him in the pool, and I was like acting to get into the phone, and then I realized like he's right there. And so I'm like choking on the words to get out of the Matrix. And yeah, I don't think that movie ever saw the light of day, to be honest. I remember Mozzie hung around all day, and then his mom came and she's like, "We have to go." So he literally like did nothing all day, and then he was in one scene where he immediately died. Yeah, good times. The Matrix, that one really set. I used to draw so many Matrix pictures. Like that movie for its time was. I heard it might be coming to the theaters around September 30th, so I'm gonna keep an eye out for that. All right, let's move on. Number 8. Everett, what do you got?
All right, my number 8 is Terminator 2: Judgment Day.
Oh
That's
shit,
a
I
good one.
forgot about Terminator 2.
I did too.
So
That's a good one though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It wouldn't be in my top 10, I don't think.
The story that you just told for The Matrix is basically how Terminator 2 was for me. My parents made the mistake of showing me the Terminator movies when I was a little kid, and they traumatized the shit out of me. But at the same time, I became absolutely obsessed with them. My mom's like a massive toy freak, so she has like this massive toy collection in storage. And the weekend after I saw this movie, we immediately went right down to that storage locker. And I pulled out every Terminator toy she had, and I just unboxed them all, and I would just play with them in my yard all day. I absolutely love this
Did you ever
movie.
show her my Hot Toys Terminator figures?
Yeah, I've shown her the Instagram photos you take, and she thinks they're kick ass. She said she'd buy them, but they're expensive. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I really love Terminator 2 for two reasons. One, I think it really improves upon what the first movie set, but also this is like one of those rare moments where you watch the first movie, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is like this, like not really now, but he was like this really hardcore bad guy. You didn't see what was going to go on. You didn't see him coming. He was like unstoppable. And then I remember, because I wasn't alive, I don't think, when this came out, but I remember going on YouTube and watching the trailers, and just even then I had my mind blown, because I can imagine back then when people saw the trailers for Judgment Day and they saw Arnold Schwarzenegger in the trailers, they're like, oh shit, he's coming back to kill John Connor again. And then it turns out he's the good guy.
Yeah,
That
that was a famous thing of where the trailer really
Yeah.
fucked the movie.
Yeah, but I love that. Like, this movie is just another example of one of those amazing sci-fi films that just helped shape my childhood, and I love that.
That's a great one. Yeah, that Liquid Terminator really terrified me as a kid.
Yeah.
Emerson, you're number 8?
So my number 8 is Cloverfield. I was 11
that's
or
a good one,
12 when this
too.
came out, and
is
Cloverfield,
good.
this shit blew my mind. I
We need to watch that one again.
We really do, because you guys know that I love military stuff. So the only reason I even went to see this movie with my friends was because there had been like some I hadn't seen the trailer, but my friend told me, oh, there's like there's tanks in it or something, and 12-year-old me was worse than 22-year-old me, and I was like, military forever, let's invade Mexico, and so. Basically, I went into this knowing nothing, and it blew me away. First of all, the handheld camera angle was such an amazing decision. The story that's going on of the movie, where the monster is sort of this background force, it's like Godzilla in a lot of ways.
But you know
where
that handheld decision was like one of the reasons the movie didn't do as well.
I do, actually, but see, I don't fault it for that. I think that's awesome, because it lets you really get perspective of things. So you know how Godzilla, we love to laud it, and I was just saying how it's artistic? This movie really shows you the monster in a sense that it is a monster. You don't get to see these wide panning shots of it. You don't get to see it from above all the time or from high up. You're seeing it like you're on the street, and it's chaos, and it's terrifying. It really is. And you don't know what's happening. They're going through the city. They're trying to find their way. It's like a combination of an end of the world, like siege, journey, exodus. It's so good. I really love it. I watch it repeatedly any chance I can get. So for me, solid number 8.
Yeah. Yeah, that should have
remember,
been on my honorable mentions as well.
Yeah. I had a moment when I was a kid having to do with Cloverfield that I like to say is the reason why I didn't have any friends in elementary school. Because the one time I got invited to a sleepover for some kid's birthday, they watched
Alex?
Cloverfield. No, not Alex. There's this guy named Austin. I got invited to a sleepover, and they watched Cloverfield.
Really?
And there's one. Yeah, there's one. It freaked the shit out of me. There was one specific scene that I won't spoil, but you only see the shadow of it, and you hear the noise of what goes on, and that just clicked it for me. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not going to sleep, and I went home early.
There was a lot of cool lore involved with the Cloverfield too.
There was.
Yeah, it had a great viral marketing campaign.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that movie. All right, my number 8, romantic comedy, 500 Days of Summer.
That is a good movie.
It's a great movie. One of the reasons I like it so much is, and I haven't watched it in a while, and to be honest, I fell out of love with it a little bit after I got married. Like, I met Jade and all that. But before that, when I was, like just a single person trying to figure out love and whatnot, and a lot of failed relationships, that movie really like shows you. Like, there's one scene where he's gonna go meet. I don't remember. Her name was Summer. Yeah, he's gonna go to her apartment, and it shows you like a side by side frame. Have you guys seen this? Everyone must have seen it.
Yeah, I love 500.
It does like a side by side of his expectation and his reality. And so he thinks she's gonna be like super excited to see him and whatnot. And I don't want to give all the details because I love that scene, but there's like another guy there that she's kind of into, and he thinks he's gonna be like the life of the party. Instead, he's kind of like awkwardly standing around and not being ignored, not like stereotypical. It's very grounded and true to life. The music is fantastic. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the star. Zooey Deschanel is Summer. They do this great dance number. Yeah, I'm just thinking about it now. Like, yeah, I'm glad I put this in my top 10. In fact, it might even be higher, but everything else is so good. We might review that at one point, because especially since you haven't seen it, Emerson. I think, like, back in my single days, like, that movie, I'm like, this is like a romantic comedy for guys. Yeah, I love that one. All right, number 7, Everett?
My number 7 is Alien.
All right.
Now, this is another instance where the movie like scared the shit out of me, but I have a lot of those moments. But this specifically, this opened my mind. Sort of.
Is Toy Story 3 in your list?
Yeah, that's not on my list. Hell no. But Alien was one of those movies that kind of opened my mind to sci-fi, sort of like the way Dune did, but in a different way. When I was like, I think I was like 11 when I first saw this movie, which was young enough to still scare me, but just old enough to sort of like comprehend really what was going on. I love this movie, not literally not for anything except for the fact that that alien is just absolutely terrifying, and the fact that the way they shoot the movie, even now with how awful the special effects look, and reading about how they filmed it and what the actors did to each other on set. It's just so beautifully made. And the fact that alien is pretty much invincible the whole movie, and you never know when it's going to pop up, or who's going to die, or anything. It's just left in suspense until it, like, just shows up and fucks shit up. And also, I also enjoy the sequel, which I didn't put on my list, but that's another example of the first one's good, the second one's great, and the third one sucks. And then they have a fourth one, which is absolutely terrible. But I that's one of my favorite series of all time, and that's definitely on my list.
All right, Emerson?
My number 7 is Aliens. This is the oldest movie on my list, by the way. So I really enjoy this movie. I think it's the best or second best, depending on who you ask, of all the movies that involve aliens in any way. Just really phenomenal. It's got an amazing aesthetic. It's got the Vietnam War thing going for it. Really blew my mind when I first watched it. Just phenomenal. In fact, this came out a long time before I was born, so I had seen Alien, then I saw Aliens, and I was really excited for Aliens 3, and I was like, oh dear God. And then I saw Aliens 4, and I was like, oh God, no, stop. And then Alien vs. Predator, and I was like, please. And then Alien vs. Predator 2, and then whatever the hell Prometheus was, and all this nonsense.
They nuked that franchise into nothing.
Yeah, as the whole thing just circles the ground into nonsense. But Aliens, phenomenal film. Really enjoyable. Really enjoy it. And H.R. Geiger, just the fact that it's practical and made without CGI and so terrifying, really puts it up there in my book.
All right.
Yeah, that Alien is still like a staple of horror.
Did
even
we
now.
watch all these? Alien and Aliens?
We've never watched.
We just
Aliens.
watched Aliens.
Didn't I watch it?
Yeah,
Didn't
you
you-
did.
didn't you?
We reviewed Aliens. We reviewed Aliens, but not Alien.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right. Okay. All right. My number 7, Shawshank Redemption.
I forgot about that one too. That is a good one.
You know what? It's not a movie that I can really like sit and rewatch it at any given day, but it is one of those. It's like, what movie are you gonna like? Really, it's not top 10. Like, what beats it? You know, and at this point, anything that's above it is simply a matter of opinion. But you can't deny that this is like one of the greatest films ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to go over some other honorable mentions that I forgot now that I'm looking at my shelf. These are like movies that I would recommend. For me, I love them, but for the average person, like they would just be recommends. Appaloosa is a cowboy film. Geez, now I can't see. Oh, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Have you guys seen that one?
No, I have not.
Yes, I have a long time ago.
Yeah,
in film
that's an
class.
older movie. Live, Die, Repeat, or Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, The Prestige is another one.
The Prestige is
that one.
amazing.
Yeah, I love 300.
300 is also a good one. Damn, I'm forgetting all these.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put those in my top 10, but they're great movies. Yeah, Troy is another one. Yeah. All right. So my number 7, I already said it. Shawshank Redemption. Yep.
Nice.
Good old Andy Dufresne. All right, number 6.
My
Everett?
number 6 is Watchmen. Ironically, since you just mentioned 300,
Oh, the director's cut is actually pretty damn good.
that's the version I'm referring to. The longest cut possible. Even though the whole extra scenes they added.
The
with, like,
Black
the
Freighter
newspaper
stuff, I hate that shit. But the rest of it, solid.
Yeah, Watchmen's a solid movie. I love it. I think that's one of the first movies I saw that took like another like stab at the superhero genre, and it stuck with me, and it's beautifully shot. That's Zack Snyder at his absolute best, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Besides 300, that's his absolute best.
You're right.
There's no topping that. That's literally, there's nothing else to say other than I love it.
Emerson?
So my number 6 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I think this is a phenomenal animated movie. It's the only animated movie on my list. It blew me out of the water how much I liked it when I first saw it. I'm almost always willing to rewatch it. It was such a risk, really, to make an animated Spider-Man movie that's based around just like the like deep comic stuff. And I really enjoyed it. I really think it's a phenomenal movie. And I could actually watch it at any time, which is why it's so high on this list. Because, Kia, you said for you it's like, hey, at this point it's just opinion. This is a fantastic movie. For me, as this list starts to go up, it's what movie could I pick up at any moment and think is just phenomenal, beautiful, and enjoy it? And what movie would I recommend to almost anyone I ever meet? And for me, Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse, anyone, whether you like superheroes or not, like animated or not, you should see it. It's a phenomenal film.
It is. I'm surprised, though. It didn't have that much of an impact on me.
Yeah, well,
Like,
maybe,
number 6
I
is
think
pretty damn high.
It is, but the thing is, it has a really strong, like, I own it. I bought it the minute it came out that I could buy it.
It's on
So
Netflix.
it's like,
It is a good
I know,
movie.
but it wasn't on Netflix when it came out to be,
Yeah.
like, when you could buy it, so I bought it the minute it came
Wow.
out.
Yeah, I didn't
Like-
buy it. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, number 6 for me, First Man.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
because it's a different type of flavor, it's like a case study of a person, and I think it was so well executed, and the music and the objective of the filmmakers to like put you in the shoes of Neil Armstrong, I think it was executed flawlessly. And so yeah, that's my number 6. I know we just talked about it the other day, so all right, number 5, Everett.
My number 5 is The Social Network.
Interesting.
That's one of those movies. This is one of the movies on here that's not sci-fi or anything like that. I like this movie purely because the acting in it is just phenomenal. Like, even if like people don't like Andrew Garfield and people don't like Jesse Eisenberg, but this movie definitely raises their acting talents to just, I think, their best. It's beautifully acted. It's shot well. I think it's one of those rare movies that actually makes the two main characters seem like genuine, likable people at the first beginning of the movie, and then as it goes on, you just start to hate one or the other, depending on whose side you're on in the whole Facebook debacle. But I think that movie is definitely, it deserves a high spot on my list. I definitely
Yeah, that's a
loved it.
movie I could revisit at some point. Weren't they talking about a sequel?
I don't know why, but yeah, I remember that.
Well, because things have definitely changed for Facebook.
Yeah, the fall.
I
of
just don't know.
Facebook.
Yeah. Emerson?
So
Number five?
my number 5 is First Man.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Everything
it
you
higher
said,
than me.
Kia. I did. Well, because everything you said, Kia, really holds true. But the thing is, I've been thinking about this movie a lot more lately. Like, a lot more lately. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's deep, and it's surprising. Because, The Martian was on my list of honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Because I like these space movie type stuff. But when I was
The
thinking
Martian
about
is
The
like-
Martian...
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about it in reference to First Man, and I was like, First Man is in a class of its own.
Yeah.
Basically.
The Martian has more in common with Apollo 13, which I chose to leave off my honorable mentions. This is a different kind of film.
It is a different kind of film, and that's the thing. Like, for me, phenomenal. Everything you said still stands still. Number 5.
First Man. Yeah. That's interesting. That's the first one that's shown up twice so far.
Yeah.
My number 5. I once described this movie to my boss as completely flawless. Like, it's not the greatest film that I ever saw, but I can't fault a single thing in it. It's executed absolutely perfectly. It's gripping, intense. It says a lot about, our society. Number 5 is The Hurt Locker.
Ooh, that is a good one.
And I'm not even
Ooh.
a huge Jeremy Renner fan, but that is like you
Yeah.
can't do that movie any better than it was done. You just can't.
Yeah.
I
agree.
agree.
That's a
The
good
Hurt
one.
Locker
That
was
one
an
should have been
amazing
on
movie.
my honorable mentions now that I think about it.
Yeah.
All right, number 4 should be getting interesting now. Number 4,
All right.
Everett.
Number 4. Before I say my number 4, I want to add to my honorable mentions list. I want to add the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies to my honorable mentions.
Okay. Yeah, Spider-Man 2 is great. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't hold comic. Interestingly enough, like I don't hold comic book movies that high in regard, or they're not as highly regarded to me.
I didn't really like the third one as much. I'd say I'd add the first and second ones to my honorable mentions. The third one I can leave out.
But isn't it
anyway,
interesting? I mean, unless someone's going to surprise me with like Marvel movies from here on out, but like we're in the top 4, and I see Into the Spider-Verse, and Days of Future Past, and Matrix can be considered, but it wasn't originally. So that's 2 out of 3 movies for 5 numbers, like so 15. Don't you guys find that interesting that the comic book movies, despite all the attention that we give them,
well,
they're
I think
not...
it's.
Yeah.
I have a theory on that. I think because we do lists every year, like the best movie of the year, or we've done like the Marvel movie list before. When you do it like that, yeah, they're phenomenal movies. But when you compare them to every other movie in existence, and you put them up against like the beautiful craftsmanship that there are, some of them just don't stand a chance. Like I don't think I have a single Marvel movie on my list.
I mean, I adore Civil War, but I can't even compare it to any of these.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of comic book movies are something we enjoy because we have a history in them. Kia, you collect these action figures. Everett likes action figures. He read the comics a lot. You both have read the comics a lot. And we're growing up in the age where this movie phenomenon is a giant thing. So we analyze. But if you think about it, we're pretty harsh towards the comic book movies.
We are. Of all the podcasts that I listen to, we are the most hardcore on these films.
Yeah. Well, that's because, like, I think for a lot of people, it's like, dude, it's crazy. It's so good. Like, do you remember when there was, like, a bright light But for
Yeah.
us, it's a matter of like, is this a good movie, or is this shit? Essentially,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we don't give it props for nostalgia, or well, usually, well, most of us don't. And we try our best to like hold these movies to a standard, but that's why so few of them are up here, because even our favorites like Civil War, or me, I said I put Endgame and Infinity War consistently at or above Civil War, and they're not even on my list. They're not
Yeah.
even in my honorable mentions.
Yeah. And I looked at Civil War and I'm like, well, it's not better than The Dark Knight or Batman Begins. And also, those aren't better than like any of the other ones. So, and to be fair, some of them I left off. Like Interstellar, I really liked. Like that was originally ranked for me, but I put First Man on there, and I like them for the same reasons, and I like First Man better. So I didn't. So Interstellar went to honorable mentions. I didn't even put it in top 10. So there's some of that going on too. Like Civil War or one of the comic book movies might have made it in if Days of Future Past didn't exist. But
Right.
anyway, so we're at number 4 now, and I'm going to be really shocked if I don't hear at least one of the movies that I'm about to say on one of your lists. All
Okay.
right. So number 4, why don't you go, Everett?
Prepare to be
My
shocked.
number 4. My number 4 is Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
Okay.
Other than the fact that I think the score is beautiful, I think it came out like 2003, right, or 2004. The visuals were stunning back then. Andy Serkis was great as Gollum. That's just one of those movies, like I keep saying, it sparked a lot of imagination and creativity in me when I first saw it. And
When you
I think
compare
it was
Lord of the Rings to
great.
Game of Thrones, I feel like Lord of the Rings is a much more simplified story.
It is,
Well,
but
it's shorter in the movies. You know, Game of Thrones had more time.
yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
But still, I think it's a phenomenal movie. I was gonna
I
put the
agree.
first Lord of the Rings instead, but I decided on this one and it just over it.
I
Is
agree. I think I think this trilogy gets better with each movie.
I expected Emerson to put this on his list, and I did expect this one to be on the list.
Oh, I
above
didn't
the
put
other
it on
two.
my list.
Surprise, yeah.
I still love it.
Oh,
All right.
I agree. I think it's phenomenal.
Emerson?
Number 4,
Yeah.
American Animals.
Really?
This movie has had an imprint on me since we watched it. I have shown this movie to every single one of my friends out here. We watched it in a group. Some people missed it for various reasons. I forced them to come at other times to watch it. And every single one of them they thought it was fucking amazing. Every single one of them. And I just
Yeah.
the reason I like this movie is it straddles the line between documentary and realism. I love how it presents the alternative narratives in a way that's like easy to track but isn't cheap. I also really think that the way the ending casts doubt on certain characters. We get to see all these real people being interviewed. The brutality where the movie goes from like a funny comedy to like maybe a heist movie to this brutal like what the hell have we done type scenario. And then at the end, these people you've been seeing they're real people, the actors who are playing them. At the very end, the reveal is like, yeah, they did a horrible thing and they went to jail and this actually happened, and it's insane. This movie is so prevalent in my mind, and I am so happy that you chose to have us watch this months ago because it was phenomenal. So for me, number 4.
Wow. Yeah. And I watched it on a whim, too. Like, I just saw the trailer, and I was like, I wanted to see that, and then I remembered and went back and...
I know. And
I
thank
just
God
watch
you
it.
did, because this is like, I love it. I love it beyond belief.
All right, my number 4. Another one that I just don't think you can fault at all. No Country for Old Men.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Huh. I had forgotten about that.
That's not on anyone's list?
No.
Unfortunately,
Jesus.
not.
That movie is like... That's the greatest cat and mouse movie I've ever seen.
It is quite phenomenal. Huh.
All right, number 3, Everett.
My number 3 is Saving Private Ryan. Now,
All right.
Yeah, so I had never seen this movie until I saw it with you in the re-release in theaters for when it was
Which
re-released.
was like an amazing way to
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah, it was an
And you were
amazing way
so
to see it.
excited you got to the theater 30 minutes early.
Yeah, no, okay, I didn't get there 30 minutes late. I got there like 5 minutes late, and I completely spaced.
Never mind.
But that's in the past. My point for this one is, I had only ever watched clips or heard stories about this movie, and even the way I thought of it in my head could not prepare me for what I saw on that screen. That was one of the most hardcore, amazing war movies I've ever seen in my life, if not the best war movie I've ever seen in my life. I can understand how a lot of people emulate that movie in a lot of the things they do. Like, there's a lot of parodies of that movie or inspirations from it.
Yeah,
and
like Saving Ryan's
it.
Private.
My point is, I'm glad I saw it in that theater with you, because it definitely not only did I put the movie in one of literally the top 3 for me of all time, but it completely changed my view on all war movies I see nowadays. Like, that set the new standard for me.
And no war movie will ever compare from here on out. Emerson, number 3.
So my number 3 is Logan.
Interesting.
I think Logan is a phenomenal film. It's so much brutality, so much rage, so much sadness in heartfelt films, especially for, you hear Wolverine and you don't really think of this level of artistry in a movie. And, spoiler, he dies at the end, but killing a character and creating such a brutal story that's kind of off the walls and does its own thing, and it sort of ended it, I think that really elevates this film, including the amazing acting, amazing plot, art direction.
I agree. The reason I didn't put it I put it as an honorable mention is because the things that I love about it are what remind me of No Country for Old Men. So I didn't want to put both on there because I think No Country for Old Men is better. But yeah, they're the same vibe. Fair. Yeah, they're very similar and they're very close in quality. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Logan.
Second comic book movie that's been on my list.
My number 3, Gladiator.
Oh, that is a good one.
Okay.
Are you not entertained?
It's fantastic.
No,
that was another
I'm
movie
not.
that my sister just brought home one day and blew my mind.
Oh man, I remember the first time I watched that. I watched that with my grandpa years ago, and it was amazing. I'm surprised I forgot about that.
Yep. All right, number 2. Here we go.
All right, my number 2 is The Usual Suspects.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Now, I first saw this movie in 9th grade when I was in film class, and it is still, to this day, I think, one of the best twist endings in history. For obvious reasons, I'm not going to spoil it, but that ending just completely blew my mind in every single way possible. Not to mention that the fact that everyone is beautifully acted in that movie, it's beautifully directed, and it does a great job of kind of putting your mind elsewhere and making you not think about the little details until the very end. And yeah, it does have Kevin Spacey in it, but Kevin Spacey does an amazing job regardless of what
Don't forget
he's
Brian.
going through now.
What? You support Kevin Spacey?
I'm saying he does an amazing job in this movie regardless of what's going on with him nowadays. He
was
nails that
fueled on the
performance.
blood of children.
Well, if he
Everyone
was fueled
silent
on the
cut
blood
your
of children,
losses.
then it made for a great performance.
And by blood, I mean...
Okay.
Oh God. Please
Anyway,
no.
I stand by my choice. Usual Suspects is my number 2.
All right, Usual Suspects. All right, Emerson, number 2.
My number 2 is Sicario.
Wow.
I
We
really
really
enjoy
had a lot of
Sicario.
different stuff.
Yeah, we did. Sicario, same deal with American Animals, where I showed all my friends this movie. Sicario, however, I have had people come over and say, let's watch it again. And I'm like, okay. I really just phenomenal acting all around, a beautifully told story, excellent soundtrack, excellent mood-setting soundtrack, very ominous, very terrifying, amazing use of camera angles, long shots. a very nice, morally ambiguous, brutalist story with excellent acting. And I really, and this is another film that I would not have watched if it wasn't for the podcast. This is an older one though, but really, I have to have it up there. This is a film that, just like American Animals, I'll watch it constantly, but I watch it more. I think about it a lot more. I'm hoping for the third one, even though I know the third one's going to be garbage, and I kind of don't want them to make it because I know it's going to be trash. But such a good movie. Such a good movie. The second one, go away. But this one, such a good film.
It's interesting because the first time I watched this, I turned it off because I got bored. And then the second time was really great.
I can't get bored of it. I just it sucks me in. It draws me in.
All right, number 2. I'm surprised I haven't seen this on here already. Inception. I felt like the creativity in this story, the layers to the story, and the fact that they could put in so much spectacle while still keeping it to the heart of the character, flawless. And I might have put maybe Dark Knight up here or Interstellar or something, but because Christopher Nolan has such a identifiable style, I felt like this is the one that he did better than all of them, and so I kept it at this one. Inception. Love that movie. All right, number 1, bring us home, Ev.
All right. So I had a bit of a dilemma choosing my number 1. It was torn between 2 movies, but I ultimately picked. I'll tell you my runner-up. So I was gonna originally pick a movie called The Way Way Back, which is a movie from 2013.
Is that with Ed Harris?
No. It's got Steve Carell. It's got Sam Rockwell in it. Maya Rudolph. It's got a couple big names in it. It's an obscure movie, but
yeah, but I think I've seen it.
I was gonna originally choose this mainly because it's one of those movies that I resonated with because it's all about this kind of weird guy that doesn't have any friends, and then he bonds with this one dude when he's on vacation.
I've seen this.
Yeah.
Is this the one where the kid is disabled?
No, he's not disabled. He's just
okay.
really socially awkward.
Well,
and I love this movie.
But is he sort of something's wrong with him, right?
I think something's wrong with him, but he's not disabled. Yeah, I think he's maybe slightly autistic, but whatever. But
they
my
go
movie
on a
that
trip
won out,
together, right?
Yeah, they go on a trip. Steve Carell's kind of a douchebag. It's an amazing movie, but my all-time favorite movie of all time that won is 1998's Pleasantville. And I know I know it's kind of an old, odd movie, but it's got Tobey Maguire, it's got Reese Witherspoon, it's got William H. Macy. This is the movie that whenever I think of my biggest inspiration for a lot of things, for writing that's not sci-fi, for writing, for filmmaking, for anything I do, it's this movie. Because in my opinion, this movie has everything you could ever want. It has beautiful writing, it has great acting, it's beautifully directed, and the story is just out of this world. The effects they do, even they're older effects, but the effects they do with the color is so artistic and beautiful, and the way they kind of shift it to the whole second part is about how racist the town is and how everyone learns how to be accepting and everything, but it's a beautifully emotional movie, and I watch this movie every single time I want to get emotional at a movie, because this is definitely one of the movies that makes me cry when I watch it every single time. It's beautiful, and if you haven't seen it, I really recommend it. It's one of Tobey Maguire's best performances, in my opinion.
We should review it, because I've never seen it.
Yeah,
never even heard of it.
I love it.
I might have heard of it, but definitely don't even know what it is. Interesting. All right, Emerson, your number 1.
So I'm assuming me and you, Kia, have the same number 1. I believe we do. Mine is Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because I was like, well, he didn't mention an honorable mention, so.
No way. I would never do that.
This movie I've described several of these movies as phenomenal in the past 10 because I think they're all amazing. I think they are all phenomenal. This movie is a masterpiece. It's a level of filmmaking, of storytelling, of directing, of acting that is impossible to surpass, in my opinion. It is the penultimate war movie, and it is more than a war movie in so many ways. It is a generation-defining film, I think, in a lot of ways, and there's a reason that practically every history teacher I ever had in high school, instead of trying to bother explaining World War II to us, was just like, yeah, let's watch this. I would do it too if I was them. The opening is so gruesome. The entire film is so heartfelt. We have a cast of characters that are unique in so many different ways, yet feel realistic. It's excellence, and it's my number one without a doubt.
You know, when I used to think about how good this movie was when I was younger, I used to I pirated it before pirating was even a thing, and I used to just watch it on repeat on my computer. I used to watch the D-Day scene. I used to watch that sniper scene, and I love the third act with the Alamo. It's still one of the most flawless third acts ever. And now when I think about how good the movie is, I think about Wade talking about his mom in the church. I think about Tom Hanks talking about his wife with Ryan, Matt Damon.
Yeah, the little things. They come up.
Upham. Yeah.
It's perfection. It's perfection.
Yeah. Like, every character, if you think about it, had an arc. Like, there's so many movies we see now where we're like, what was that character doing? And, you know, you have Mellish, who was fighting. He was a Jew, and he was fighting the Nazis. And, of course, he gets killed by a Nazi. And you have Upham, who, like, is not prepared for war at all. And then he eventually comes around to being as savage as the rest of them, except it's much too late.
Yeah.
For Mellish. And then there's Caparzo, and Caparzo's thing was like, he completely had faith in, like, the captain, except for when he didn't, and then he died for it. And so, you know, like, it's a smaller because he goes first, but. And then there's Reiben, who questions, like, the mission the entire time, and at the end, like, his thing's kind of unresolved. Like, he lives even though he knew the whole time, like, it was a terrible mission, and he survives, and, like, so the bad thing didn't happen to him, but he was so aware of the bad thing the whole time. And then who else is there? Private Jackson, who was just like, he just wanted to fight the war, and he fucking died. And Horvath, who is, like, deeply loyal, and, you know, Miller's arc, his whole thing is, like, you lose a man to save 10, 20 times as many.
Yeah.
And so, like, Horvath is one of those, like, and you know, it's like, it's so personal. We think about it as just like war movies. Like, I don't even like describing it as a war movie. To me, it's just like a journey movie.
And that's why I said it was the penultimate war movie, because any movie that is set in a war, but the war is not what makes it, and the war is not like, oh, that's its defining trait, that shows you the skill. Because almost every war movie out there, it's dominated by the war.
Yeah.
But this movie is more than that.
It's not trying to shock you into, like, think about how crazy, like, war is. It's not trying to tell you that. It's telling you, like, how did these guys that used to have other lives, you know, like when Miller stops the argument between Reiben and Horvath.
Because he's a school teacher.
And he's like, I don't know how I'll ever tell my wife about days like today. And, you know, when I was a kid, that scene was good. I understood that it was good, but I didn't really know why. And now I'm like, that's probably the best scene in the movie. I want to watch it right now.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah. What other squad members are? Wade. Oh man, when he talks about how he used to ignore his mother when she came home late sometimes, and then he dies screaming for his mother.
Yeah.
That one's pretty brutal. Yeah.
It's super brutal.
But then you look at, like, some of the just, like, the cool factors, like the way Jackson dies. So few movies have the guts to do something like that. Mm-hmm. Like, he's in the bell tower. he's been fighting the whole time. He's great at what he does, and like boom, and then you see Captain Miller, like another soldier gone under his command. He sent Jackson into that bell tower.
You were just saying how they have arcs. There's arcs even for characters that are barely characters, like the German soldiers or other American soldiers. Like one of the scenes that I didn't realize until later is those soldiers at the beginning of the beach where they're screaming, they're talking in Czech, saying like, "Please don't shoot
we're
me,
not
please
Nazis
don't shoot
or something."
me."
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
they were
and just
conscripted,
get gunned
right?
down. And they were conscripted. And you know the crazy part? Another director might have put in a scene where someone says like, "Oh well, they were speaking in Czech," but no one needed to know, and all the American audience saw it and was like, "Oh, that sucks. They were trying to surrender."
Well, he has that weird line I never understood. He says, "Look, I washed for supper." I don't get it. So you're just saying like you don't care what he said? Is that what they're?
Yeah, I get, but what I'm trying to say is the beauty there is like, for most people, for me, most of the times I watched it, it was just, oh, he was trying to surrender and he shot that guy. That guy's a dick because war's brutal.
Yeah.
But there were people who spoke Czech, people who understood. There were random people out there who saw that and understood, and saw, wait, this was even worse.
Right.
And that's amazing.
Remind me whose death was it where it was at the end where he gets like stabbed slowly?
That's Mellish.
Yeah.
That is to this day one of the most brutal fucking scenes.
Oh yeah.
In any movie. It's not particularly like gory. There is like a part where he bites the Nazi's hand. But when the knife goes in and he's like, "Look at me, stop, look at me," and then it goes in. Oh man!
And you know what's crazy
squirmed
about
in my
that
seat
fight?
at that.
When you like the first time I saw it, and almost every time, like if you're watching it, you don't know who's gonna come out alive. Like in most movies, you expect the heroes live, or B, it's very telegraphed when a hero's gonna lose. You know, like there's a long, longing look, sad music plays, something stupid. But in this, it's like it's balls to the walls the whole time, and you have like when you watch this, you're like, who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? Who's gonna get it? And then the good guy doesn't win.
Yeah. That's just nuts.
Dude, Kia's getting like withdrawal right now. He's like, I need to go watch it.
I mean, I put it third on my list, but even I think it's a phenomenal ass movie. It's gorgeous. Especially
I respect that you put the things that you liked more, but I think this is number one on any list anywhere.
It's still in my top 3. It's definitely my favorite war movie of all time.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other war movies. I used to have a lot more in my head. Like Wind Talkers was okay.
You had Hurt Locker.
Hurt Locker qualifies. Yeah. We Were Soldiers was another decent one. Nothing's ever come close to this though.
It's not really a movie, but
Tears
Band
of
of
the Sun.
Brothers was also really good, reminded me of this.
Band of Brothers, yeah, I wanted to put this on there, but it's not a movie.
The Pacific, Band of Brothers, Generation Kill.
I've never watched Generation Kill. I heard it's really good.
Can we do an all-time TV list too? Because there's a lot of stuff I'd put on there as well.
I mean, that's a like define TV.
Like
miniseries.
Television shows that are either like not full-length feature films, like episodics that are on Netflix or on TV. Like series.
Yeah,
in general.
I mean, I think I might struggle to get 10, but yeah, we could do that at some point. So let's talk about. So we're not doing one this coming weekend. So for the following weekend, we have a couple options. We can go through some of the films that I have like stored in our backlog of reviews. There's also that movie called The Boys, where it's like the 6th graders. It's supposed to be like super bad, but in middle school.
Oh, please don't watch that.
Bad Boys Order. I'd see that. That looks kind of.
I kind of want to see it. I don't think that we could really critically tear it apart.
God awful to me.
That looks like a movie I'd laugh at.
Is this the one with the kid who was in Predator?
Yeah.
Where he was like, "Oh no, it looks so bad. I cringe every time I see the trailer." No, please don't. That looks that. Oh god.
Okay, so not that one. I mean, I might see it anyway, but then there's Mindhunter, but I also don't know like what we could review there. I don't think there'd be a whole lot to discuss aside from Everett's guy.
I'd be down to just watch the episode with my guy in it. That'd be funny.
No, I'm gonna watch the whole thing, but like to review it,
Yeah.
other than to say you liked it, I don't know.
I'm gonna watch it just to see how good that guy's performance is.
This will be for the episode that's going to be on the 26th, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
25th.
if it's something that's easier to access, that would be good because remember I'm moving that week. Like the next couple weeks are going to be crazy for me, so.
Well, then let's do. Okay, I have a couple things that I have in mind, and this episode gave me a few ideas. So number one, we could watch Cinderella Man, which was something I wanted to watch when we watched Creed, because I think that Cinderella Man's a better boxing film. So that's one. Another one is based on Toy Story. Have you guys ever seen Toy Soldiers?
Yes, actually, I have.
Yeah, that's a much lighter film. So I kind of want to revisit that one and see how it holds up. So that could be like a lighter watch. And then the other one would be Cloverfield, which I could go for.
I'd watch
Ooh,
Cloverfield.
I did Cloverfield. Yeah,
All
let's
right.
do it.
Yeah.
That's next. All right, guys. I think that's it for this one, and I will see you guys next time.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Iron Koob Fights movies. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and most importantly, review our podcast on iTunes so that we can spread the show around. To contact the show, you can reach us at theironkoob@gmail.com and on Instagram at theironkoob. Join us for another edition of the Iron Koob Fights movies.